Good Friday evening, everybody. Welcome to More Sports and Les-Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon, a jam-packed show today. We will talk some Indians pitchers and catchers headed to spring training in less than 2 weeks down in Goodyear, Arizona. We'll talk some Cavs NBA trade deadline right around the corner. We will talk some Browns. Baker Mayfield trying to win one of those, the most prestigious Rookie of the Year awards coming up this weekend, the NFL Honors Award as the AP's Rookie of the Year, the Offensive Rookie of the Year. But there's a pretty big game going on Sunday as well, the Super Bowl. And we begin with what is a point spread look at the Super Bowl. It's the Patriots and the Rams, 6:30 kickoff on Sunday. You see some trends from Bill Belichick and Tom Brady playing together in that Super Bowl. Patriots just 3-5 against the spread. Every game decided by 8 points or less, and the average margin of victory in those games, 4.25. When we talk point spreads, we bring in our point spreads expert, Ryan Fowler from NFLPickWatch.com. Ryan, who do you like in this one? The Patriots, 2.5-point favorites over the Rams.
Yeah, Dave, and you have to remember the Rams actually opened up as favorites the Sunday night of the NFC and AFC Championship. So you have to keep that in mind that the Rams were favored there for a little bit of time. But this begins with Todd Gurley's health. Todd Gurley did not play in that NFC Championship as much as I think a lot of people would have believed him in the biggest game of the year for the Rams. So Todd Gurley's health kind of shakes this out where the Patriots become 2.5, 3-point favorites, depending on where you're at on the board. Now, Jared Goff has not played well away from Los Angeles this season. That factors into my decision of taking the Patriots and the 2.5 for them to cover. The win over the Saints, the Rams win over the Saints, comes with plenty of red flags. Not the one that I think the Saints wanted. Granted, that would have been a yellow flag. But again, controversial win for the Rams. They have a lot of things stacked up against them, and that begins too with Bill Belichick getting 2 weeks to prepare for a Super Bowl rookie coach in Sean McVay. McVay, a guru in his own sense, but Belichick has been there, done that. And they only have to cover the 2.5. It's such a small spread. And with Gurley's health, I'm starting to get a little concerned of how the Rams are going to stop the Patriots on offense. You know, I mean, how many times is Brady going to go to James White, Sony Michel, Julian Edelman? He has all these cast of characters, and the Rams secondary is not great. Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib. Talib will have a good game here and there, but Marcus Peters can be shredded game in and game out. I think the key matchup to watch is the defensive line of the Los Angeles Rams with Aaron Donald, some who think could be one of the best players in the league, versus the Patriots offensive line, giving Tom Brady time to throw because he's got plenty of weapons. He just needs that time to throw. So looking at that, looking at Gronkowski and what could be his final game, I think he'll eat well. The Rams allowed the second most receiving yards to opposing tight ends. And then here's a name to keep an eye on. For somebody looking for a touchdown prop bet, Chris Hogan. Very quiet during the regular season because Josh Gordon was there. Chris Hogan could find the end zone. A big target of Tom Brady last season. With Josh Gordon out, Chris Hogan could step up in a big way. I like the Patriots to cover the 2.5.
We got 4 prop bets. Let's go through them pretty quickly. National Anthem. Over-under is 147. What do you like?
I like Gladys Knight to go over there. She said she's going to give the anthem its voice back. And I think this is one of those rousing renditions of the national anthem. Under different circumstances, Whitney Houston, but over 147.
Another one that you mentioned, Todd Gurley, rushing yards, over under 72.5.
Yeah, I don't see how LeBron James would have been benched in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Francisco Lindor in Game 7 of the ALCS. Todd Gurley did touch the ball 4 times in the NFC Championship. He is not healthy. I take the under in the Super Bowl.
Well, you alluded to it might be Gronk's final game. Will he catch a touchdown, yes or no?
I'm going to say no. I think he'll have a big receiving game, but I do not think he finds the end zone in this matchup.
And here's one that's kind of interesting. MVP. Who do you like and what are you thinking with this one?
Well, I think the Patriots are going to win, so a lot of people think I would pick Tom Brady. But I would look at Julian Edelman, averaging more than 123 receiving yards in the playoffs, over 86 receiving yards over his last 11 games. Julian Edelman, soft Rams secondary. I like Edelman to win the MVP plus 2,000.
Let's take a quick look, a recap at Fowler's 5. He likes the Patriots minus the 2.5. National Anthem going over 147. Gurley under 72.5 yards. No touchdown for Gronkowski. And your Super Bowl MVP, he's betting it's going to be Julian Edelman. He's betting that the Patriots win that outright. As always, we appreciate the insight. Ryan Fowler from NFLPickWatch.com. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it very much. Time for us to take a quick timeout here on More Sports and Les-Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. We're talking Browns and Baker Mayfield with Doug Lesmerises. When we return, you're watching More Sports and Les-Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. Welcome back to More Sports and Les-Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. Time to talk some Cleveland Browns football. And, of course, when we talk Cleveland Browns football now, it means we're going to talk some Baker Mayfield, the quarterback who has captivated the Browns and Browns fans. Let's head down and bring in Doug Lesmerises, the columnist for cleveland.com. Doug, the Rookie of the Year between Baker Mayfield and Saquon Barkley split. Barkley recently was named the Pepsi Rookie of the Year, as voted on by the fans. Baker Mayfield had won a couple of the earlier ones, Pro Football Talk namely, and also the Pro Football Writers. There is a big one, the AP, which will be part of the NFL Honors Weekend. That'll be tomorrow evening, the day before the Super Bowl. Where do you fall on the Saquon versus Baker debate as far as Rookie of the Year goes?
I think we all know if you're talking value in the NFL these days, the quarterback's always going to win, right? So if you're going by how valuable he is to his franchise, no rookie is more valuable to their franchise than Baker Mayfield right now. So Browns fans, though, do have to understand that Saquon Barkley has a real case here. He led the NFL in yards from scrimmage. In addition to running the ball, he had 91 receptions, which showed you how much the New York Giants relied on him. He did basically everything you can do as a running back. Now, he's not a quarterback, so if you just want to go by that, then go by that and vote for Baker Mayfield. But I do think Saquon Barkley has a chance in something like this. He does have a legitimate case. But if you're going by value, and a lot of times with awards like this, even if the word valuable is not in it, that is kind of how you vote, then I think in this modern world, you have to go with Baker Mayfield. And you see his rookie touchdown record, and he has as good a case as Saquon for sure.
And let's take a look at just the body of work that he put together, being Baker Mayfield. You alluded to it, the rookie touchdown record, 27 by a rookie quarterback. But there was a lot more to it than that. He should get extra points because he broke the jinx of a guy playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Come on. I mean, that's got to be worth some extra points there. He got style points.
Well, and I think that legitimately is actually part of it. When you see you are put in a job where people have failed. And the other thing is obviously the second half of the year, that if you just duplicate his last 8 games and do that times 2, his numbers go that much higher. And so they didn't play him early, which you look back now and say, what were they doing? You look at the Todd Haley, Hugh Jackson offense, that was clearly holding him back. So I do think the voters, as good as Baker Mayfield was, the best case maybe for Baker Mayfield is that as good as his numbers are, as good as he really was held back by factors out of his control in the first half of the year. And if you look at the second half of the year, Baker Mayfield, I think it really isn't a choice. I think it has to be him, and I do think a lot of voters might see it that way.
Let's talk a little bit about how do you judge next year 2 under Baker Mayfield, year 1 with Freddie Kitchens as the head coach. How do you judge it as a success? Everybody's talking playoffs. Is that legitimate? Is it real? I mean, there are still some areas of this team that need to be improved before you can think, they're a legitimate playoff team.
I said 12-4. I'm going to say 12-4 a million times between now and the start of the season. Here's the thing in the NFL. When you get a rookie on a quarterback on a rookie contract, there is no waiting. There is no building. There is now. There is right now. Their best chance to win is in the next couple years while they don't have to pay Baker Mayfield very much. You look at the Los Angeles Rams, they went out and got a bunch of veterans. They paid big money for a bunch of veterans while they weren't paying Jared Goff very much. While the Browns are saving money on Baker, saving money on Myles Garrett, this is their window. This is not some kind of slow build. Let's try to get the wild card and maybe 5 years from now, the Browns can win the Super Bowl. Their Super Bowl window is in the next 2, 3, 4 years. So it will be a disappointment. They have to lean into this. It will be a disappointment if they don't make the playoffs next year. They have the quarterback. They have the young defense. They have as much cap space as any team in the NFL. They have picks to play with. This is a win now situation. And again, if we're talking about doubling the second half of the year, that's 10-6 for next year as a baseline. 5-3, what they did once they got rid of Hugh Jackson. 10-6 as a baseline for next year. The schedule's not that tough. Anybody out there can go through it. Yes, anything besides the playoffs will be a disappointment for the Browns in 2019, and they should not shy away from that, and I bet they will not shy away from that. That legitimately is where they are, and that's how it has to work in the modern NFL.
Last question I'll ask you, Doug. Having said that, is it time to go out and get some young veterans to bring into this team? Is free agency more important than the draft if you are espousing a win now? Do they go out and spend some money because they do have that cap space?
I know John Dorsey said he's not going to go crazy spending money. I think that's just the kind of thing you say as a ploy to make sure agents aren't lining up with their hands out in Berea. Yes, I've said I'm not that interested in them making the 17th pick in the draft. I'd love for them to trade that pick and go get somebody. It's the guys that you don't even know that are available. The teams that are in rebuild mode, the teams that are in desperate straits. Go take advantage of them. Teams have taken advantage of the Browns in the past. Go take advantage of someone else. But there's a lot of linebackers and defensive ends where they can supplement this defense on the free agent market. And I do think there should be opportunities like Jarvis Landry last year. You go out and make a trade and give a guy some money. I think there should be and will be more opportunities for that. The Browns should be the most aggressive team in the league when it comes to that. And again, when you look at the Rams, when you look at the way they got Ndamukong Suh, the way they supplemented their secondary with a lot of these veterans, they got Todd Gurley, they got Jared Goff, they got these young guys. They went out and got Robert Woods. They got other receivers out there. They went and got, you said, young veterans. Young veterans are the key. And if the Browns don't get a couple of those, again, I'll be very surprised and I'll be very disappointed because they are completely positioned to do something like that.
Doug Lesmerises, appreciate it very much. Great points about the Browns and how this roster is set up moving forward. Time for us to take a quick break here on More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. We're talking Cavs, basketball, and the NBA trade deadline. When we return, stay with us.
Your basement is damp, dirty, and not somewhere you want to spend time. Let Nature Stone Flooring transform your basement into a true extension of your home. Nature Stone's proprietary hydrostatic ports allow water to simply evaporate, so no mold or mildew. Plus, it has a higher insulation rating than carpet and is warmer than linoleum, vinyl, wood, or tile.
Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today and get up to 50% off.
Nature Stone is the affordable basement floor solution that beautifies your home. Nature Stone, the only concrete solution.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
Welcome back to More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. The NBA trade deadline just around the corner later this week. we are going to bring in cleveland.com's Cavs beat reporter Chris Fedor to talk about the deadline and the Cavs. And Chris, this is not the way most people thought it would be without LeBron James. There was some optimism. I know Kevin Love has been hurt, but when you look at the numbers, this Cavs team is not very good. And really, it's been a challenge to win basketball games, more so than I think most people thought.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. I think coming into the year, the Cavs were hoping to at least be competitive and try and fight for one of those final playoff spots at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. But as you mentioned, it's very, very difficult for them when they've used 19, 20 different starting lineups, where they've already traded away Kyle Korver, they've exiled J.R. Smith, just so many different circumstances surrounding why the Cavs are where they are. But here they are. Here they are, one of the worst teams in the NBA, and now they've got to figure out, okay, what's the best path back to being the team that we thought we could be coming into the year, if that's even possible.
Well, and, you know, the challenge has been under Dan Gilbert's ownership, the Cavs, they're just not very good when LeBron James is not on the team. When you don't have the best player in the world, they've won 29% of their games. With LeBron James, over 67% of their games. So, you know, the part of the problem is we have not had a general manager in charge of the Cavs organization for a second contract. So there hasn't been the continuity that you need to build a team. And when you look at it, you've got a lot of young guys that don't have anybody to lead them right now. Is that, I mean, you see this night in and night out. Is that what it is? Is there's some young talent, but darn if we can figure out how to get them going in the right direction.
Well, I think there are a couple of things, Dave. I think, first of all, when you're relying on so many young guys to be the core of this thing moving forward, and you go into this player development mode, this youth movement, and this rebuild, playing young players comes with a lot of intensity. You see it all over the NBA. The Atlanta Hawks are dealing with it. The Dallas Mavericks are going to deal with it moving forward now that they've lost DeAndre Jordan and Wesley Matthews. The Lakers, without LeBron James, were dealing with inconsistency because young players are still trying to find their way throughout this. And it's very, very difficult. So when you have Colin Sexton playing 30-plus minutes a night and Jetty Osman playing 30-plus minutes a night, you're going to have to deal with the natural growing pains that come along with it. At the same time, I think the thing that they're going to be boosted by, at least, is somebody like Kevin Love returning to kind of stabilize them. When they need a bucket, they have somebody to go to. Because of that, that should help their defense in turn. Now, I don't think the Cavs are going to go on this huge winning streak, Dave, because I think the realities of what this roster is in a post-LeBron era are sitting in front of everybody to see. But they were expecting Kevin Love to be the rock, the stabilizer, the leader, and not having him, it has certainly to some degree contributed to the fact that they've got one of the worst records in the NBA.
And to kind of dovetail what you were talking about with the young guys playing so much, plus minus, and these are the worst in basketball. Osman is the worst, Sexton second, and then you got Thompson and Hood that are 5 and 6. So 4 of the top 6 worst plus minuses. Question now becomes, do you expect them to make a deal at the trade deadline? Trade deadline creeping in. Do you expect them to do, and are they looking for young players? Are they looking for draft picks? Are they looking for both?
Yeah, I think they're looking for both. And I think the most likely avenue, Dave, is for them to take on some bad contracts that go beyond this year, maybe extend into next year. And their reward for taking on those bad contracts is getting a first-round pick attached or a young up-and-coming prospect attached to that. I think that's the only hope that they have here because, you know, when you go through 4 straight trips to the NBA Finals, you kind of empty that treasure chest when you talk about assets. You trade 2 first-round picks for Timofey Mozgov, right? You trade another first-round pick for Kyle Korver. So what the Cavs were left with was a pretty empty chest. And I think coming into this season, Dave, one of their goals, they had so many different goals, and some of them were realistic, some weren't. One of their goals was to acquire as many assets as possible, not for this year, but for the future. And they've done that already with the trade of George Hill. They've done that with the Kyle Korver trade. So I don't think there's going to be a blockbuster deal. I don't think Kevin Love is going to be traded at the deadline. I think if he is traded, it's more likely to happen in the offseason. There are a number of teams that have loaded up for the free agency class of 2019. And there are only so many free agents that are going to change destinations. So the teams that miss out on those big name free agents in the offseason, you know what they're going to do? They're going to pick up the phone and they're going to call a team that they think has an all-star that could be traded. And the Cavs would probably get a phone call or two about Kevin Love in the offseason. But I think if they do make a move at the deadline, it's probably involving Rodney Hood, Alec Burks, maybe possibly, although I think it's a little bit more unrealistic, Tristan Thompson, those kinds of names. I think Kevin's safe.
Last question I'll ask you. We had a lot of talk about Kyrie Irving apologizing to LeBron James for the misunderstanding or being a hard-headed young player. And now there's some talk that there could very well be a reunion of Irving and James out in Los Angeles. Are you buying that? And what's your reaction to it if indeed that does happen?
So I asked a number of different Cavaliers this very question, Dave. The guys that played with Kyrie, that played with LeBron, that knew the dynamic between them really well. And I think the most common answer I got from all of the guys that I talked to was, it's Kyrie Irving. You know, it's so hard to know what's in the mind of Kyrie because he's such a different person. He's wired different. I had one player call him a skater boy that just happens to be really great at basketball. That's how he's wired. That's how he thinks. He wants to challenge people. He wants to make people think. He wants to keep people guessing. And he's very, very moody. So what he thinks today may not be what he thinks in 3 weeks. What he thinks in 3 weeks may not be what he thinks in 3 months. I have a hard time seeing it, Dave, because I feel like I have an understanding of why he wanted out of Cleveland. He wanted away from LeBron. LeBron was a bit of a quote-unquote glory hound. He had so much control. When Kyrie signed his extension with the Cavs in 2014, Dave, he was pitched that he was going to be their Steve Nash. David Griffin, the general manager at the time, was in Phoenix before he came to Cleveland. He built the entire thing around Steve Nash in Phoenix. He sold that same thing to Kyrie, and he told Kyrie, hey, you can go out and recruit free agents. The Cavs thought they had Trevor Ariza because Kyrie recruited him. The Cavs had at least an offer sheet in place for Gordon Hayward because Kyrie recruited him. So he had that kind of control for, a couple of days. And then LeBron James comes back and everything changes. So why he wanted to go to Boston was for that kind of control, that kind of power, to have an opportunity to test his own greatness and see, hey, can I lead a team to a championship in a way that I can't in Cleveland? And it just seems like not enough time has passed and Kyrie hasn't changed enough for him to say, you know what? Yeah, I'll be second fiddle to LeBron or third fiddle to LeBron and Anthony Davis in Los Angeles. I just find it hard to believe, knowing how he's wired, knowing that he's an alpha, knowing that he wants to be the man, and all of the things that come with that. And he wants an opportunity to lead his own team to a championship. It just would not happen in Los Angeles with LeBron. And I just don't think he's changed his mind on that.
Chris Fedor, we appreciate the insight, and as you did say, you never know. What Kyrie's thinking today might not be what he's thinking tomorrow or during the off-season. Time for us to take a quick time out here on More Sports and Les-Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. When we return, we're talking baseball. We'll hear from one of the young outfield hopefuls, Jordan Luplow, coming up on More Sports and Les-Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
It takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling to bring the heat when things get chilly. Find us at 440-449-HEAT.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les-Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. Well, we in Northeast Ohio need something to warm us up after the bitter cold. Indians pitchers and catchers report to spring training at Goodyear, Arizona in less than 2 weeks. That means baseball's right around the corner. In addition to the pitchers and catchers, a number of young players trying to earn spots will head to Goodyear early as well. Guys like outfielder Jordan Luplow. Luplow has had some success at the minor league level with the Pittsburgh Pirates, has shown that he can hit for average and can hit for some power too. In fact, in 2017, Luplow was the Pittsburgh Pirates minor league player of the year in their entire system. He came to the Indians in the offseason as part of the Eric Gonzalez trade.
There's a lot of emotion for sure. It was my first time getting traded, and I was with my roommate right now, Joe Musgrove, who has been traded a couple times, and he was telling me how it was a great opportunity for me, you know, talking me through it, and really helped me out.
How important is it to just not try to be anything other than, you know, who you are? You know, you're going to have an opportunity to play. I know you've played some in the majors, but you've got an opportunity to have extended time. How important is it to just play the game that you play and not try to be something else?
I think that's really important. I think at the end of the day, you got to go out there and be the player you are and show what you bring to the table, and you know, try and win some ball games.
Is it fair to say kind of a gap-to-gap line drive? You don't want to be some guy that's trying to pull it all the time. Is that kind of the type of hitter that you are normally? Or?
Yeah, I'm trying to be the complete hitter. I want to be able to drive guys in. I want to be a middle of the lineup guy. I want to be able to hit for average and power, and you know, help this team win in any way it can. You know, if they want to put me at the top, they want to put me in the bottom, middle, it doesn't matter. I just want an opportunity to play and win some ball games.
Luplow is reasonably young, 24 years old. He was a third-round pick in 2014 out of Fresno State. He has had a couple of cups of coffee the last 2 years in the big leagues, and the concerning part is swing and miss quite a bit. His power is said to translate to the big leagues, but he has struck out about 1 in every 4 at-bats. The thing is, Luplow feels he's learned quite a bit from his time in the big leagues.
There's a lot of veteran guys there that helped me out, as far as, you know, David Freese was a big one, Jordy Mercer, Josh Harrison. I got to hang around McCutcheon, and I really got to learn about how they go about their business and you know, how a professional acts, and I think that was important for me becoming a big leaguer, and just learning from them, and you know, trying to make adjustments, because these guys are making adjustments to me. I got to make adjustments back. So playing that cat and mouse game, and you know, learning the ways. So.
Is it more of a challenge mentally because it is constant? You know, this guy's doing this, I got to do this. This guy, is it more of a mental challenge?
Yeah, I think the mental game is very overlooked by some people, and I think it plays a big part in how you go about your business and how you go into games and how you prepare. So that's something I'm working on.
Well, and Luplow is a guy to keep an eye on in spring training. He will get every opportunity to earn regular at-bats with the Indians. And remember, that was a guy that was the 2017 Minor League Player of the Year for the Pittsburgh Pirates. When we return, Joe Noga will join us from the cleveland.com studios to make some sense of it all as far as the Indians lineup goes for 2019. You're watching More Sports and Les-Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Welcome back to More Sports and Les-Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. We have talked and heard from some of the Indians' young outfielders. Let's put that into context, make sense of what this lineup looks like and where those outfielders may fall. Time to bring in cleveland.com's Indians reporter, Joe Noga. Joe is coming to us from the cleveland.com studios. We appreciate the time. What about this lineup? There are some challenges without question.
Well, I think so. I think you're looking at replacing players that have left in terms of Brantley and Chisenhall. Right now, Cabrera isn't in the fold, but that's to be determined. You're missing about 25 home runs, somewhere in the neighborhood of 110 to 115 RBIs, and the on-base percentage for the group of players who are going to have to step into that role is significantly lower than it was last year.
Having said that, the lineup does have some young guys that the Indians are going to give the opportunity to show that they belong. You know, they're pretty tight up top. You know, with Lindor and Ramirez, you're doing pretty well. As you get down into the middle and the bottom part of that order, there are some guys that could do it but haven't yet done it. Is that what the Indians are thinking? There's enough of a chance there that they could very well end up with guys that can come through and take advantage of the opportunity that's sitting in front of them.
Right. If you're Chris Antonetti, if you're Mike Chernoff and Terry Francona, you're waiting for guys like Tyler Naquin to step forward and say, hey, I'm an everyday right fielder. I'm an everyday big league player. Put me in the lineup and prove it and hit his way into doing that. The same thing with Greg Allen. Greg Allen has all the tools and all of the necessary equipment to be that everyday guy. He just has to step into that role and perform. And that's what these first couple of months of the season are going to end up being, is that proving ground for those young players. You talked about Jordan Luplow earlier. This is a guy he's got 64 games of major league experience. Now, the numbers project really well. He pretty much every other hit that he gets is an extra base hit, high doubles, high home runs, particularly at the AAA level. He was the 2017 Minor League Player of the Year for the Pirates. This is a guy who, if he takes that next step, could be a nice piece to have. But on last year's Indians roster, Jordan Luplow is no more than a fourth outfielder.
Yeah, that's without question. And you could say that about Greg Allen. You could say that about Tyler Naquin. So it's a year where the Indians are going to let some of the young guys show if they belong in the major leagues. Here's a question. If it's not working out, they will probably still be in the thick of the Central Division because nobody's going to run away from them, especially with their pitching. Could you see a trade deadline trade that they end up giving up one of those elite starters, you know, a Bauer, a Kluber, somebody at the front end of that rotation?
I think that's a definite possibility, a strong possibility, especially if the scenario plays out the way that you described there, with them not necessarily running away with the division, but being in sort of a dogfight and needing that extra bat, needing a guy who can protect that top of the order with Lindor and Ramirez, because the strategy is going to be, if you're a team, you know, challenging the Indians, you know, you could walk the bases loaded in the first inning and then strike out the next 3-4 guys, because you're going to be facing guys like Bowers and Leonis Martin in the order. Will they go out and find somebody? They've already had trade discussions. That's why this offseason was so important. You know, testing the waters for Kluber and for Bauer was, you know, they know what teams are willing to part with and how much their asking price should have to come down if they need to, because you're not going to get value during the season, the same kind of value for a Kluber or a Bauer that you would in the offseason, where you could have traded them for a full season of work.
The other challenge would be is if somebody gets hurt on one of those contending teams, you may get more value, and that's the give and take. The interesting thing is, what do you take from spring training? A lot of times the Indians know who everybody is going to be. Terry Francona has said you can get in trouble if you base things on the numbers in spring training. There's got to be some of that this year with all these young guys.
Well, hey, just look at last year's spring training. Jason Kipnis was one of your leaders in all of baseball in home runs during spring training. So, yeah, don't put a lot of stock in the numbers in spring training. But, you know, look at Greg Allen, and in spring training games, you could even let Greg Allen bat leadoff in a bunch of games and see if something clicks and he can work out there. And that would give Terry Francona a lot more flexibility with his lineup if he could move Lindor down and put him, at the 3 spot, maybe drop Ramirez. It would give the Indians a little more flexibility on their day-to-day lineup if Greg Allen could step into that leadoff role and prove himself. And spring training is a good time to figure out if he can do that.
Joe Noga, we appreciate the time from the cleveland.com studios. Pitchers and catchers report in less than 2 weeks to Goodyear, Arizona for spring training. We're all out of time on this edition of More Sports and Les-Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. Stick around. Bill Castrovince will join me for the High School Sports Insider coming up next right here on cleveland.com. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Keep it simple.
Leaders lead. Leaders lead.
Let's go! Stop whining!
Again, go again, yes! You gotta rotate, go, Stone!
The High School Sports Insider is brought to you by Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. By the Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. By Spectrum News 1, always Ohio, always refreshing, always on, exclusively on Spectrum. By Dominion East Ohio, Dominion, it all starts here. And by Classic Teleproductions. February is here. That means the games are getting more and more important, and the winter sports tournaments are just around the corner. A great time to hop on board the High School Sports Insider along with Bill Castrovince. I'm Dave Bacon.
Over the next half hour, we'll meet a team of boys and girls thinking about 2 state titles. Plus, we've got the Lone Ranger who's leading Lakewood, a Bulldog who shines on the court and in the classroom, and the leader of the Lancers.
We begin tonight on the hardwood with one of the best high school basketball players not only in Ohio but the entire country. Jalen Withers and his family moved from North Carolina to Cleveland Heights before the start of the school year. Withers is a 6'9" wing player with guard skills and a smooth three-point shot. Jalen and his Tiger teammates are trying to put everything together come tournament time. Jalen Withers, our Cuyahoga Community College student athlete with a future. Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. You don't need to be a super basketball scout to spot Cleveland Heights' Jalen Withers on the court. He's the 6'9" wing player who stands out on the hardwood. Withers, wearing number 24, is considered one of the country's best high school players.
My athleticism for my height. I'm pretty quick to be as tall as I am. That, shooting, and I would have to say my finishing.
Jalen's a really versatile player, especially on the offensive end. He's a legit 6'9", can shoot the ball from the volleyball line in, can handle the ball, jumps through the gym. He's definitely a guy that is very versatile offensively and then also defensively does a good job of rebounding and is definitely a much improved on-ball defender. Still has some work to do with it, but I think he's going to be a really good two-way player.
Cruz is in his first year as head coach at Cleveland Heights and was thrilled when Withers' family moved into the Cleveland area from North Carolina. Cruz has been impressed with everything about Jalen.
Jalen's a great kid, and he's truly a kid, and that's the nice thing. He doesn't have an ego. He's really about team. You notice that we almost want him to be a little bit more selfish offensively at times, but he's always trying to make the right play. He's a great teammate. He's never negative. He's a good student and just a good overall kid.
Pretty much all of the big-name ACC, SEC, and Big 12 basketball programs were recruiting Withers, and he had at least 20 scholarship offers from high major programs when he decided to commit to Louisville before the beginning of his senior season.
Everything from the coaches to the players that were there, the environment, it was just felt like a place that I could go and develop and have fun throughout my college years and get closer to getting to the NBA.
What do you want to see from yourself as you're going forward? You know, ultimate goals. Is it to play in the NBA? Is that
Oh yeah, definitely. That's pretty much the majority of the country's dream. But I know it ain't gonna be an easy trip. So yeah, just been working and trying to get better to get to that point.
No one will be surprised if Withers develops into an NBA player, but it's not a sure thing. Jalen's a solid B student and realizes he needs to continue to get it done in the classroom.
Everything right now is prepping me for my future life, college, and beyond that. Like, if I don't maintain and achieve higher expectations off the court, on the court is going to be kind of less playing time and less attention, et cetera, et cetera.
Let's take a dip in the pool with North Canton Hoover. The girls' swim team is coming off an amazing season with 3 gold medals. One of them belongs to Amanda Palutzitz, who graduated. But 2 relay teams are back for another run, and their success has lit a fire under the boys. Throw in a new head coach and a unique team motto, and you have the Hoover Vikings, our team of the week. The Vikings slogan this season is reciprocal subsidiary. The team is more important than the individual.
When it comes down to it, when you're racing in the water, every single person on the team is standing at the other end watching you and cheering you on, and so their success becomes our success.
The Hoover girls are ready for an encore after breaking the state record in the 200 free relay, winning the 400 free, and finishing second as a team.
One thing we are changing this year, though, is we aren't going for the 400 free relay, we're going for the medley relay this year, because we have like sprinting depth, but not like 100 sprinting depth.
You can't stop when you do well. You have to move forward and look towards the next great thing, and I think that while being state runner-up was great, we want to win the state championship.
It's amazing. Like, every day we come here, we just get to race like the best swimmers in the state, and it just pushes us so much every day.
And the girls' success has inspired the boys.
When I saw the girls last year when I was a junior and I saw a state champion, I got super jealous. Really jealous, actually. So the day after state meet that Sunday, I got right in the weight room, and I said, we're not taking days off.
And so far this season, the 200 free relay and the 200 medley relay teams have been ranked near the top.
So going into this year, we knew that we would have a fast 2 free, but I think we've all blown each other, out of the water, no pun intended, kind of, working together.
Our common goal is to go out there and swim as fast as we possibly can. If that means we're gonna, place really high at state along the way, then we're all for that.
The good thing is the boys, when they were ranked #1, they still had that mentality, and now that they're, ranked number 2 or 3, they still have that mentality that right now it doesn't matter. It matters what you do the last race.
The new head coach, Mark Rogers, spent 8 seasons at Canton Central Catholic. It seems like he and the Vikings are a good fit.
We're just getting things rolling on this week's show. We'll head back to the court and meet a late blooming Ranger, plus a Bulldog with plenty of bite. The High School Sports Insider will be right back.
Before I decided to go back to Tri-C to become a nurse, I was a stay-at-home mom. Absolutely wanted to be a pediatric nurse. I love taking care of kids. If you're thinking about changing your career or changing your path, go to Cuyahoga Community College. I feel like I'm in a great place in my life. I have 3 great kids. I have a great job that I love. I could not have done it without Tri-C. My name's Diana Geary. I earned my nursing degree from Cuyahoga Community College.
The High School Sports Insider rolls along. Thanks for riding shotgun with us. We often know of the big-name high school athletes who step right onto a varsity court and immediately shine. Then there are others who work hard and see an incredible amount of hard work pay off late in their high school careers. Tommy Sala from Lakewood falls into that latter category. Sala, in his 2nd year as a varsity basketball player for the Rangers, is seeing all his hard work pay off. He recently accepted a Division II basketball scholarship to a school in Florida. Along the way, Sala picks up the title of Spectrum News 1 Game Breaker. He stands 6 feet 8 inches tall and continues to get stronger and more physical on the basketball court. Lakewood's Tommy Sala seems to be one of those classic late bloomers who just keeps getting better and better.
I think kind of like learning how to play more. You know, last year was my first year on varsity and kind of like a learning year. So yeah, I think this year I understand the game a little bit better and it's coming easier to me.
Great motor, great work ethic. I mean, type of kid, hey, we got 2 days off. Text message, hey coach, can I get in the gym today? Hey coach, can I get in the gym tonight? I'm like, dude, it's your 2 days off, but you know, it's great kid. I mean, he's young, he's 17. He just turned 17, he's young for his grade.
Sala admits he put an entire summer of intense work into his game, and he's seeing the results on the court in his senior season.
On the court, I think my ball handling ability has really come a long way from last year. Also, my ability to see other teammates, I think that's also.
He's a great sharpshooter, but the fact that he can put it on the floor at that height, and he's getting, you know, he has guys that are like 6'3", 6'4" guarding him, and you know, he made it an emphasis to really put the ball on the floor this summer and get past those guys. So now he's worked on the arsenal of moves, and I mean, he can create a shot for himself. Like, he doesn't need anyone to help him out now. He's an amazing ball player.
Sala's game has developed to the point where he was offered and accepted a scholarship to Division II Nova Southeastern in Florida. Sala can play inside out and is a very good defender. He also sees the court very well.
I think it's kind of just comes with playing a bunch of basketball. Like, we play pretty much every day, so that's kind of how it develops.
His assignment is you have to guard the strongest person on the floor, and you have to stop him. You can't let him rebound. You can't let him score. And he takes pride in that. You know, he'll go in there and impose his will physically. Like, he will box out. He will have a hand up. He's just in the right spots at the right time.
Next up, we have another basketball player who's been a starter in varsity for 4 years. And after all those games, Sarah Burry recently hit a major milestone. But it's her work in school and the Poland community that have made Burry a great role model. Here's Sarah Burry, this week's Ohio Lottery Partners in Education Shining Star. Sarah Burry was not born with a basketball, but her earliest memories always include one.
I want to say I was 2 or 3, and we were leaving for vacation, and my dad came out in the driveway and was like, all right, you guys ready? And I was dribbling a basketball in the driveway.
Burry has loved the game ever since then. And with her drive and work ethic, Sarah has started every game for Poland for 4 years.
She works behind the scenes harder than anybody. I mean, she puts a lot of time in outside of practice. She's the girl who does what she needs to in practice and then goes and works on her own, stays after, comes in early, puts in the time on the days off, and just has that drive to be great.
Sarah hit a milestone in January when she went over 1,000 career points. Everyone was waiting for it, except Sarah.
I did not know how many I had, but all my teammates knew. So that game, I guess I was like 2 points away and they're all yelling, shoot it, shoot it. I didn't pick up on anything. And once I did hit my 20th point of that game to be the 1,000th, everyone went crazy and I was running back on defense like, what's going on here?
Burry puts up big numbers in the classroom too. Sarah is a 4.0 student.
She's a willing student. She's a teachable student, and that's not always the case. She comes knowing that she doesn't know everything. She's a hungry learner.
After school, when she's not playing basketball, Sarah's supporting the other Poland teams.
Me and one other friend, Galina, we run the dog pound, so that's our student section for football. So we choose all the themes and have all the chants going, and it's a lot of fun.
Next year, Sarah Burry will be studying finance at Kent State. But she still has some games to play for the Bulldog faithful.
Poland taught me and my teammates a lot in the past since we were young, since we were little. I mean, we've always gone to Poland, so just knowing where we came from and how important it is to work hard and be a good person, that'll come with me everywhere.
If you know a student who shines in the classroom like Sarah, go to OhioLottery.com. Look for the About section. And in there, you'll find the Supporting Education tab that has all the information you need.
If you missed some of today's show or want to see past episodes, they're online and free. What a deal, I know. Head to citybeat-tv.com. That's citybeat-tv.com.
Coming up next, we'll meet the Lancers' new leader, and our Insider Classic has become a terrific Terp. Stick around.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Thanks for hanging with us on this edition of the High School Sports Insider. Dan DeCrane graduated from Hoban High School. He was an assistant basketball coach at both St. Ed's and Hoban before finally getting his chance to be a head coach at Columbus Bishop Ready High School. DeCrane's Silver Knights became a very good program, and DeCrane was thrilled to have the opportunity to come back to Northeast Ohio when he took the job as Gilmore's head coach before the season began. It didn't take long for the Lancers to respond to DeCrane's style. We have an all-access look at Gilmore's boys basketball team. With a new head coach, a new style of play usually follows. That was definitely the case when Dan DeCrane took over at Gilmore Academy. An added challenge, the Lancers only returned a couple of players with significant varsity experience, namely C.J. Charleston and Connor O'Toole.
I knew the month of December would be a little bit of a challenge for us just because we're new, you know, and we have a lot of young guys besides CJ and Connor, everyone else, and Ryan Cohn. We have 7 or 8 new varsity players, and they're talented, they're young, they're energetic, and it's getting them to learn how to win.
We're very young. We're a very young team. We have a lot of sophomores and juniors coming up from JV, but I think our strength is playing together. We play together so well. We share the ball very well. I thought, like as you can see today, we hit the open man and everything like that. But I think we just all buy into the system and we just work hard.
DeCrane built a very good program at Bishop Ready and was thrilled with the foundation he inherited at Gilmore. After the expected early season challenges, the Lancers are hitting their stride at the right time of the year. They've won 8 of their last 9 games, and Charleston is consistently scoring better than 30 points a game.
A different system. We have a lot of actions that I think help our play style very well. We have a lot of defenses that speed the other team up, and yeah, he just has brought in a great system for us, and I think it fits us very well.
It is fun. We want to play fast. We want to get a lot of shots. We want to shoot the right ones, shoot open shots. So it's fun. There's a lot of freedom. So it comes with responsibility because we got to make the right plays. We got to make sure we're not making the wrong plays, leaving our feet, turnovers, stuff like that. But it's been a lot of fun so far.
We're spreading the floor. We're going to get the ball to him and Connor and let them make decisions. What 2 better guys to do that with? And with what he had 7 assists and 31 points. I mean, that's just incredible. It's tremendous. It goes back to his work ethic too. I mean, playing 3 sports at that high of a level, it's not just natural ability. You have to put time into it, and he does that.
The Lancers started their string of good play with a win over Buchtel, a team with great length and athleticism. The only loss in their last 9 was a 2-point decision to VASJ, ranked 5th in the state in Division II.
For us, it shows what we can be. I feel like we lost some games that we feel like we could have won, should have won, and just it shows how far this team can go, what we can do, and what we're looking forward to doing later in this year.
I think the biggest thing for us is 32 minutes of maximum effort, toughness in the defensive end. We know we can score the basketball, and we will. Just learning how to finish plays and when a play doesn't go our way, how to respond. I thought tonight, this afternoon, we did a great job of that against Buchtel. We didn't get a call or a 50-50 ball went their way, and then we're sprinting down, beating them on the floor and getting a good look for us. It's the bounce back that younger players struggle with at the varsity level for the first time, and now we're going to learn from that and just kind of keep getting better together.
It's time to fire up the Wayback Machine for this week's Insider Classic. Alicia Farina has been putting up big numbers on the mat for Maryland. The junior gymnast has stepped up this season after being named second team All-Big Ten. Farina has earned a 9.9 in 3 events in college so far. Back in the day, she was the first gymnast to earn a perfect 10 in Ohio history. She was also a 4-time state champion at Brecksville. And today, Alicia Farina becomes our Insider Classic. For 24 hours each week and 51 weeks each year, high school gymnasts like Alicia Farina are working hard on something they will never achieve.
There's always something new to learn. You're never really done, I guess. Like, you can't really perfect it.
But the Brecksville senior is getting close. On January 17th, 2015, she scored a 10 on the vault, the first perfect score in Ohio history.
That was awesome. I mean, I was super excited, and all of my teammates were super happy for me, because it's like, that was my goal, was to get a 10, because like, I knew I could do it.
I never thought we'd see it at the high school level. And when Alicia did that vault, it was great. I mean, it was like everyone just sat there with their mouth down and like, what do we do?
Alicia had the answer. 14 days later, this vault earned her a perfect 10. And she did it again 1 week later. Add 2 more from her senior season, and Farina did something no one else has done 5 times.
I mean, I think once I got a 10, it was definitely like an expectation of myself to keep getting 10s, because it's like, if I can do it once, I can do it again.
Farina scored a 9.9 at the state meet as a freshman. She won the overall championship that year and went on to make history, becoming the first gymnast to win the state championship all 4 years.
She missed her beam routine in the last meet. You know, everybody makes mistakes. She did not want to do that again, and you could just see those wheels going round and round and round, that she was going to stick this routine.
She gave a verbal commitment to Maryland way back when she was a sophomore. Instead of coasting in school, Alicia has been a straight-A student for her senior year.
I mean, even my parents say the same thing, that they would rather me do amazing in school and like, than be like, oh yeah, that's my daughter and she's like good at doing flips and stuff.
She's not interested in competing in the Olympics either. This sport is grueling enough. But Alicia Farina has some advice for anyone who wants to make history.
If you try your hardest, you're never gonna leave and say, oh, I regret not trying that, I regret this. Like, you're gonna be happy with what you did because you know you tried your hardest and did your best.
We want you to get more involved in the show, and you can through social media. Follow us on Twitter. We're at HS Sports Insider and at Dave Bacon Sports. Tweet us your story ideas or your video or pictures showing your school spirit. We'll use them in a future show. We're still plugging away on Facebook as well. Head to our page and like us. We're at High School Sports Insider.
But stick around. The tweets of the week are coming up next.
The best thing Tri-C did for me was give me opportunities. The workforce program prepared me for the career I have now. I got a job in the aerospace industry where I work on CNC machines. I have 3 younger brothers. I want to teach my brothers, you know, hard work actually pays off. Come to Tri-C. It's a great stepping stone to wherever you're trying to get to in life. My name is Chris Grooms, and I got my start at Tri-C.
Welcome back inside the High School Sports Insider. We are always on the lookout for crazy plays, outstanding performances, or high school kids just having fun. This is where you come in. When you see something like that happening, let us know about it. There are a few rules, and by now you know them. You have to use 280 characters or less, pictures or video, or even better. It's time for the tweets of the week. Beaver Creek's Taylor Ewert was named the Ohio Gatorade Cross Country Runner of the Year. After winning the state title, Taylor finished 3rd at Nationals. The Holy Name volleyball team got their state championship rings and added a banner to the walls of the Green Wave Gymnasium. And take a look at Mineral Ridge's student section. They're called the Mob Squad. Moses is leading the way, and Moses parts the Red Sea. Keep those tweets coming. We want your story ideas or your pictures or video showing your school spirit. Tweet those to us. We're at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio. Again, that's at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio. We'll use a few of them on upcoming shows as the tweets of the week. I know I say it all the time, but our half hour together flies by each and every week, and we are all out of time on this week's show. Before we go, we want to thank you for taking the time to join us. We hope to see you back here next week, same time, same place, when again we'll have some of the best high school sports stories from all across Ohio.
Thanks for watching, and thank you for supporting high school athletics. Have a great night.